back. My name is Dave, and this is Macaro Siding, my N-scale layout. We're going to take a break from the power plant. I'm still working on a couple other lighting issues, and we'll get back to it next week. I'm just waiting on Evan's Design to send me the lights I ordered, so we can get that thing with flashing lights and stuff for warning people away from the dam itself and the power plant itself. So what I want to talk to you about today is weights of rolling stock. Now, when you buy a piece of rolling stock commercially, it has some weight to it. I'm holding in my hand, where should I go? Okay, let's see if we go. I'm holding in my hand a flat car, the kind that they ship plywood and stuff on, and it's a fairly hefty piece of kit. Got a little so this weighs 0.975 ounces, so it's almost 1 ounce. All right, now the NMRA recommendations and practices car weights. So in N scale, the initial weight should be half an ounce plus 1.5 for the length of the car. So you can go through and do the math yourself if you want to, but I found a much easier way, and I'm very grateful to this gentleman who put this on the web for people to use. So in the case of this particular piece of rolling stock, oops, and it says it should weigh just over 1.1 ounce. So I'm going to put this back here. So it needs to be a little heavier than it is. So this is a factory shipped piece of rolling stock. But my problem is not with factory shipped rolling stock. My problem, of course, is with 3D printed rolling stock, because you know that I print an awful lot of rolling stock that out of resin, and depending on how you do it, it can be heavy, it can be light, and you can run into all sorts of problems. So a gentleman called Wesley Steiner, I'll put a link to his sheet, but he has created a chart where you take your piece of rolling stock, take your piece of rolling stock, you put it on the chart with one edge right on the left hand side, and then you look at the chart and it tells you what the car should weigh. So this car, which is an ore carrying car, should weigh 0.9 ounces. So what do? Well, let's find out. Put it on the scale. Oh, sorry. I'll back out so you can see what I'm doing. You put it on the scale, and we get a weight of 0.261 ounces. Everything will be in ounces. I'm using a little scale that I bought in a local store. I don't know how accurate it is, but for what I need it to do, it's perfect. So now I know that the car that's sitting on the over here on the sorry, what am I thinking? So, now the car that's sitting on the scale is now just there. So what do you do? Well, there is a fairly expensive way of doing this, and I'll show you that first. This is called Liquid Gravity. It's by Deluxe Materials out of the UK. It's a 240 gram container with the tiniest of little balls in it. And what you can do is you just back and forth like this until it gets to the desired. There we go. Here we go. Come on. And there we are. That's 0.09. And you can see those are tiny. I hope you can see it. They are tiny little beads. They are non-toxic, so they're safe to use. But this little bottle cost $19 US. And I thought to myself, what can I buy for $19 US right here in town? And you know what I came up with? Something very simple. I'm just going to dump these out here. What I just dumped out, what you're looking at, is fishing weights. So I take the same model car, put it on here again. It comes out to about the same thing. And now all I do is add fishing weights. Now I have two sizes. Actually, I have more than two sizes of fishing weights. I just keep adding these little fishing weights. We're at 0.5 right now. 0.6. Almost 0.7. We're at 0.7. Whoops. Stay on there, you. And I'm just going to keep adding these until we get to 0.9. And it seems that I need a few more. Now the fishing weights are not that expensive. I'm sure if you look around you can find dirt cheap ones. Okay, there's 0.9. So now what I do, where is my... Okay, I thought I had some here, but I don't. So we'll just use liquid PSA. Excuse me. And now I'm just gonna... Whoa, I didn't want to do that. I add in some glue and put it aside and let it dry. Now, as you can see, I made a mess here. I'm gonna quickly clean this up. So with open top rolling stock, it's a fairly simple process. But not all our rolling stock is that way, but is that way at all. It's like, this is a three-bay hopper car, and I'm still working on it, obviously. But it's hollow, but there's no way in. So in that case, what I do, and I either use the little liquid gravity or the tiniest of tiniest fishing weights. I drill a hole in the bottom of the rolling stock, and then I pour it in. I put it on the scale. This one weighs 0.4 of an ounce, so it needs another almost 0.6 to be the right weight. The other thing is you can print your resin as solid as a solid block, which is what this car is. This is a solid block of resin. And it weighs 1.4 ounces. So, let's see, I got a mess here. Where did I put that rag? So if I take this and put it on the chart, it should weigh anywhere from 1 to 1.1. And it weighs 1.4. So it's actually heavier than it needs to be. So you can print them solid and it would work. And you wouldn't have to worry about the weight of your cars. Same here. Here's another solid one. Or no, here's another empty one. I can tell because I can switch the walls. Same thing again. Drill a hole in the bottom. Put your lead in. You could pour some super glue in and then swish it around. And then when you're done, you can take some green stuff and fill in the hole that you made on the bottom, and then you can paint it, and you'd never know it was there. The other thing I do with a lot of my, where are you? Did I not bring you over? That's crazy. Oh, here it is. Sorry, here it is. This is one I'm working on right now. I'll put it over here. Okay, it's hollow, and it has a bottom that goes in it, and you can see the bottom's warped, but you can so in this case, what I do is put everything on the scale. Come on, turn on. There you go. And I take the fishing weights. Well, let's see, what do we got? Come on. Oh, it can't be right. Okay, let's try that again. Okay. So again, this is 0.45, and it needs to be 1.1 ounces. So now I start dropping weights inside the car. Now these are bigger weights. I think one more should do it. No, that's 9. I need one more. Even that's not enough. Okay, one more. There we go. So now, of course, the weights are all sliding around and everything. What I would do is take these weights. It's kind of important that you do this way, at least I found it is to glue them in the middle, like in the center of the bottom piece. If you don't, and you've got some on this side or some on this side, or you got them all on one side, this car is going to tip. It's always going to want to, excuse me, there we go. It's always going to want to be at an angle rather than straight up and down. So I would recommend that when you do this, you glue on each of the weights right down the middle. So take a pencil and make a line. Sorry, there we go. Make a line. And then glue the weights along that line. So they're all on the center axis of the car. Now the other thing you have to remember is that I've just put all the weights in this car. And obviously that looks uglier in sin. So, let me see, is this, okay, this does open. So, then you've got to put a load in it. And that load's going to add weight. Now, it doesn't have to add much. Oops. Okay, so we've got 1 ounce here. And I have a new product that I found online, but I'm sure you could. It's called Diorama Texture Real Terrain by VMS. It's a very fine powder, and it is to scale or N scale for being a coal load. And the weight of the car is going up with every little pinch of stuff that I put on here. So I'm just going to very carefully so I'm adding in the load. It'd be faster if I had a spoon, but I don't see that I have a spoon right here with this. At least I don't think so. I'm looking around and talking to you, and I don't see one. So we'll just keep going here. Now I should have some IPA and water. Now you should be doing all of this with the load on the scale so that you can actually get the right weight. And for some reason my IPA has gone missing. Alright, well, we'll just move on. So now, by adding the load, I've pushed this up to 1.1, so it's heavier than it should be now. So you can see you've got to experiment and figure out how much the glue weighs, how much the load you're putting in weighs, and how much the car weighs. And that way you can control how much your cars weigh in place. The biggest problem you're going to have is with a flat car. Where do you put the weight? Well, to be quite honest, I don't know. But I have found that if you get some thin sheets of metal and you cut them, you can glue them onto this surface and you will get more weight. And of course the other way to make them heavier is to add a load on the car itself, so that it's, because this car is supposed to weigh 1.1 ounces. This piece of rolling stock. Flat car. I'm waiting. Okay. And it weighs 0.232. So it's really, really not much there. And even when you take it and put it in your hand. And the comparison between this flat car and this flat car is dramatic. This really has weight to it. And I think a great majority of this has actually been cast in metal. So no matter what the car is, if you print it solid like this one is, you probably will get the weight you want. If you print them hollow, you'll have to drill holes in the bottom of them, and I would suggest getting some of the liquid gravity, because that'll be the easiest stuff for you to just you make a very small hole, just enough to get the nozzle in and pour. So this is one of the problems with 3D printing rolling stock. They just don't weigh enough. And I can tell you from experience of having a train run, if I've got commercially made products and my own printed products, as long as it's a straight line, everything's happy. On curves and over points and switches, it's not a good thing. They're just not heavy enough. So I would suggest that you buy yourself a small, inexpensive scale. This one is, I bought it at a local smoke shop, so because it was dirt cheap. It was $10 or something. The one we have upstairs in the kitchen for doing cooking with is a $20 scale. So you don't want to spend that kind of money on a scale for doing this. So like I say, you would take this, drill holes in it, drill 1 hole, 2 holes in it, and then pour in the material. I would put in, I might even in this one put 3 holes in it, because there's nice flat areas here for the hoppers itself on the car, and that way I can get the liquid gravity spread nice and evenly. Just move it around, try and get it in place, and see what you can do. It's one of those things I never thought of, but when you go to Canadian Tire, they have, I mean, literally all sorts of fishing weights, and they cost $1.99. Like I said, this was $19 US. Yeah, it was US, $19 US, plus shipping. And this was a drive into town and $1.99 a package. So I think you're better off with the $1.99 a package. And like I say, here you can see now this has. Let me see if I can. We have the load in there and the glue is drying. So now this car is ready for service. And I'm going to have to spend a day or two probably getting all these cars to the right weight. And I'm also going to have to experiment on the weight of the glue, the weight of the load, and the weight of the weights themselves, and then the initial weight of the car. So it's not a one-shot easy thing to do. You need to take your time, and you need to figure it out if it's worth it or not. Now, if you're not a 3D printer of rolling stock, this doesn't make any difference to you, except that you can use this chart from Wesley, what was his last name? Steiner, to make sure that your purchased rolling stock is the right weight. So on this one, like I said, this is supposed to be 1.2, and it is 0.974. So it is under what the National Model Railroading Association says it should be. And you'll find with most of your cars that they are not up to the weight that the National Association specs for cars. So I don't know why it is, unless, of course, they expect you to put loads in this, and then by putting loads on them, you end up bringing them to the right weight. So this was just a quick explainer. I will put a link to the chart. I will put a link to the liquid gravity. I don't think I need to put a link to fishing weights. I think you could probably find them anywhere you've got a hardware store or a sporting store. And although I use this fancy diorama texture, extra fine texturing materials, you could just go to your dollar store and pick up some of the gravel that they have there, run it through a coffee grinder, which is what I do, and then use that as your loads if you've got gravel cars and stuff. So that's it for today. I want to thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. I want to thank a person who made a comment about how to do some wiring. I took your advice. I'll let you know that. I put shrink wrap on the actual leads that go through the base of the layout, and it was much easier to feed the wires. In certain portions of my layout, I'm feeding wires through 3 inches of styrofoam. So I want to thank that person very much, and I enjoy reading your comments if you leave them. Anything that you want to tell me, whether I'm doing something wrong or whatever, I appreciate it. I really do. So as always, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and remember, it's your railroad and you can build it.